I think we all knew this moment was coming. It's time for us to talk about the most fair and balanced Titan of them all. You know her, you love her, and you can't play a single match of Titanfall 2 without seeing her roaming the maps in droves. Her name is Tone. Titanfall 2 currently features 6 Titan chassis, each with a set of unique abilities and kits that slightly augment the way that Titan plays. Today, we're going to talk about some of the strengths and weaknesses of Tone. And yes, she does have weaknesses. As always, we're going to talk about her loadout first. Tone's primary weapon is the 40mm tracker cannon. Each shot from this cannon deals moderate damage and applies one partial target lock to an enemy hit directly or caught in the blast radius. Target locks are used to launch Tone's ordnance, tracking rockets. The main source of her damage output, these rockets can only be fired when the target is fully locked. In other words, when 3 partial locks have been applied. You can lock onto multiple targets simultaneously, and launching tracking rockets will remove the locks from their current targets. Tone's tactical ability is Sonar Lock. Similar to Pulse Blade, this is a projectile that on contact with the surface will pulse and reveal nearby enemies for a short duration. If a Reaper or a Titan is within the radius, they will receive one partial lock. Tone's defensive ability is Particle Wall. This places a protective barrier in front of Tone that blocks incoming fire while allowing her to continue her attack. The wall does have a limited amount of health and can be easily destroyed by focused fire. It also has a limited duration. Finally, her core ability is Salvo Core. Tone fires a salvo of rockets that move toward whatever target is in her reticle. The rockets from Salvo Core can't be flown indefinitely, but they do have a fairly long travel distance. Now let's go over her Titan kits. First is Enhanced Tracker Rounds. Critical hits apply 2 partial locks instead of 1. Reinforced Particle Wall increases the duration and maximum health of Particle Wall. Rocket Barrage adds 2 additional rockets to each salvo of tracker rockets. And finally, Pulse Echo causes your sonar lock to pulse twice, allowing you to reveal targets longer and apply 2 locks to enemies in range. Now, let's talk about Tone's optimal damage rotation. It's a bit complicated, so you might want to grab something you can take notes with. Now, I hope you're ready for this. 1, 2, 3, rockets. Congratulations, you have mastered Tone. The video is now over. That tricked you, didn't I? It's not that simple. Tone might be strong and relatively easy to get the hang of, but there's more to her than meets the eye. So, let's get into it. In my time playing as Tone, I've come to think of her as an Overwatch support. That's Overwatch with a lowercase o. She does a great job of surveying the battlefield and temporarily marking targets with her sonar lock. While this ability is primarily used for getting an extra lock on a hard-to-hit Titan, its secondary effect is a sonar pulse, which reveals enemy positions on the minimap and through walls. The ability provides battlefield awareness to your team's Titans and pilots, and that's incredibly valuable. Tone's primary damage combo is incredibly predictable. 1, 2, 3 rockets. Even though Titanfall 2 has only been out for a month, a lot of people you run into will already know to activate their defensive abilities at the count of 4. Well, you don't always have to use your rocket salvo the instant you get 3 locks, and you don't even need to be facing your enemies to hit them with it. The trick to becoming a real threat when you're playing as Tone is to think outside the box. The normal rules of line of sight are blurred when you're driving this Titan because your rockets can curve around walls and corners when aimed correctly. They can even bypass enemy defensive abilities if they aren't quick enough to look up. Also, your targets will remain locked for a relatively long time, so you don't actually need to rush. Calm down, take your time, enjoy the scenery, and then fire the rockets. When you first start playing Tone, you're going to feel very tempted to activate your core ability and fire an entire volley of rockets directly in the faces of your enemies. More times than not, that tactic will be sufficient, but that's not the only way to use Salvo Core. It's very possible to use a little bit of finesse. Fellas, when you're with a lady, You can't always go straight for home plate. Some of them like that, but sometimes you gotta do some sneaky shit. What do I mean? Fire the salvo core at the sky, pop around the corner, oh snap, an enemy Titan, boom, rockets on your back. You can't block that. You didn't even know it was coming. There's nothing you could do. Boom, done, finished. On a serious note, salvo core is very precise and very deadly, so you don't always have to go straight to the point.
Unstoppable. It's a double kill.
Tone's biggest weakness is her inability to deal with pressure. Because her defensive ability is static, enemies that push you out of your safe position will be able to tear you apart. Also, Tone has a very specific effective range, and when operating outside of that range, you'll notice her attacks becoming more and more difficult to land. At close ranges, it's not too difficult to hit targets, but you won't be able to make use of your particle wall if someone is breathing in your face. At extreme ranges, your projectiles will take time to reach their targets, which means you have to lead your shots considerably to hit your targets. Medium range is the best range for Tone, and anything besides that will reduce your effectiveness. Like I mentioned earlier, Tone's primary damage combo is predictable, which means anyone who's got a decent knowledge of the game will understand how your abilities work and how to counter them. When going up against skilled opponents, you'll very rarely get to use your 1-2-3 rockets combo to its full effect, which means you'll very rarely be doing your maximum potential DPS. All in all, Tone is an incredibly powerful Titan with some obvious strengths and some not so obvious weaknesses. When played with a group of coordinated friends, she can easily command and control the battlefield, but when left unprotected and under pressure, she'll crumble. And there we go. This has been an overview for Tone. She's very powerful, but she's not unstoppable. And with that said, the name of the game is Titanfall 2, the name of the channel is iBluairJgR Gaming for Comedy. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.